Welcome to a special episode of the Modern Hotelier. We're excited to come to you from HITEC in Indianapolis, Indiana.
We got lucky and we were able to sit down to some of the leaders of HFTP, learn more about what's coming up for HITEC and also HFTP. Enjoy.
Now we're joined by Justin Taillon, Global President of HFTP. Thanks for joining us, Justin. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. It's a wonderful day. I really enjoy HITEC. This is a great place.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit more about HFTP and the growth over the years?
Well, the growth that I'm seeing, it's amazing. We're moving from just looking at who's a member to looking at who's a stakeholder. We're growing our tent. And I'm so proud of the way it's growing. And a lot of this comes down to the alphabet soup, the HSMAI, BLLA, you got ICRE, I could go on and on. It's the alphabet soup is joining us now at HITEC, and that's so much of our growth in what we're doing.
And what's the long-term strategy for HFTP?
Yeah, so you can say that changes often as the president changes.
Yeah.
I come from a background of education, and I'm really most proud of what we're doing this year with our HFTP Academy. I remember in 2015, I was a little newbie to HFTP, and the global president brought me in and said, "What is your idea?" And I said, "I think we need to do this." And I had all my charts in colors, HFTP Academy. And today, HFTP Academy exists. We have grown all of our offerings. We're offering those things in Indonesia, in India, in Qatar, in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, in Peru, in Mexico, Jamaica, and I'm so proud of all of it. So to me, that's what I'm working on. There are so many other pieces. We're looking at HITEC's growth. We're looking at moving more into the hotel sphere. We now have Sally. That's under our umbrella now. We have Hotel Online. We have Hospitality Upgrade. You want me to keep going? Yeah, it's growing.
Yeah, that's great.
That's incredible. So walking through HITEC, HFTP sessions, what is one of the hottest topics being talked about this year?
This would have been such a hard question almost any other year. This year, there's literally just one. It's AI. What's interesting to me is people come at it from so many different angles. I was in one session that was way too early for me. It was like 7:30. For me, that's 4:30 from the Pacific time zone, but I was there. And they were talking about how we're moving away from that face-to-face interaction, and that's the direction we need to go. And there's gonna be kiosks in the lobby, and you're gonna barely see a human, and we're gonna love it. And then you talk to someone else, and it says, people are missing that human interaction, that face-to-face contact. So yeah, everyone's talking AI, but which angle of AI? Right. I don't know yet. Come back next year, the year after, keep coming to HITEC. We'll figure it out.
All right, great. So I'm a big supporter. This is my 25th HITEC.
Yeah.
So how has this been so far? We're about to close out day 2. How's Indy been?
Indy, we hit the jackpot. It's who knew when we signed the contract to come here that Caitlin Clark would be in Indianapolis, that the Pacers would pull an absolute miracle and end up in the NBA Finals? Who knew that we would have the parades we're going to have? Who knew that HITEC would grow the way it is coming out of, we don't like to talk about COVID anymore, but there's still, when you plan for things 3, 5, 7 years in advance, that stuff impacts you down the line. And cities have to think about that stuff. I wish HITEC was bigger, but we ran out of space, which I guess is a really good problem to have. We sold out so early, and now we are looking for, how do you get into bigger spaces? There's barely anyone who can fit us sometimes anymore. That's a good problem to have.
That's great. So you gave us a lot of great information on your strategy. How can people find out more about HFTP, HITEC, and some of those initiatives you spoke about?
We put a lot of time and energy, enough to make us laugh, if you had any idea what I meant by this, into our website and what's happening on the back end, and utilizing some of the software that's back right here to give us the data and the information for things like dashboards. Please go to hftp.org, learn about it, hitec.org, academy.hftp.org. We have those Pineapple Search. We've got our websites. Those are the best places to learn about it. But contact us directly. Anybody who emails me directly, you're going to get a response. But if you want to talk about the Academy, we have amazing people like Arlene and Juanita. If you want to talk about joining as a member, we've got Connie and Fritz. If you want to talk to Thomas, Frank, myself, we are all available. You can reach any of us through hftp.org. We're right there. Mugshots, right? And we're ready to get back to you. I'd love to talk to anybody.
That's great. Well, we want to thank you for partnering with the Modern Hotelier, and we thank you for this great space. And we appreciate you sitting down with us.
Thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you, Justin.
All right.
And now we're joined with Scot Campbell, the Principal of Integrated Resorts Advisors, and Arlene Ramirez, the Senior Vice President of Learning for HFTP. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Absolutely.
No problem. Love to.
So, Scott, I'm going to start with you. One of your focuses is digital responsibility. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
It was 1 year ago at HITEC that I was asked to chair a committee inside of HFTP that really stands back and looks at current technologies today and business practices and the ever-changing, how do you protect your company? How do you protect your company's data? How do you protect your employees' data? Those kinds of things. Most companies focus on cybersecurity, putting up walls so people can't get in. But what if they do, right? And there are other ways to leak data also. So we put together a committee, an international committee of hoteliers and consultants, and we sat down and we really started to map out what do we really need to think about in the future to protect our companies. And we came up with these 8 pillars with a lot of data below it that really starts to outline. It's kind of like a checklist. And we're publishing it at this HITEC to the world so someone can adopt it in their company and kind of every day, every week, every month, check these boxes off, right? It's a reminder that are you backing up your data? Are you purging data that you shouldn't be keeping? All of those things are all encapsulated in that. And it's on the HFTP website. And we're going to find out it's in a lot of other places too.
Arlene, we spoke before this sit down. I could feel your passion for education. So why is education so important to you and to HFTP?
Well, I think one of the biggest assets that we have in the hospitality industry are employees. And in order for you, when you have a hotel, you never just leave it alone, right? You're always updating it. You're adding new carpet or new furniture. Well, the same goes for our employees. And I think sometimes we don't think of our capital asset being employees, and we don't necessarily invest the time and effort that we need to. And everyone's different. If you know, in a hotel, you're working from line staff all the way to the senior executives. There's a different requirement for all of them. The same thing that the dishwasher needs to know is not the same as the general manager, but yet that dishwasher needs to be educated because at some point in time, they're going to have an interaction with their guests. And you want to develop them so that they can grow with your organization. Because as we all know, retention is a huge factor in the industry. It's one of the highest turnover rates in any industry is hospitality. So if we don't invest in our employees and we don't ingrain our culture or show them new skills, we're going to get to a point, even with being at a technology conference and there's a lot of AI, it's still a people industry. So there's going to be skills that we still are going to need human beings for. But if we don't develop them and show them all the different skills and things that they can use in our industry and develop them for us not to have to go out to the outside and find someone, it's a big cost as well to train people and the turnover. So that's why it's important to me. And for HFTP, we're a resource for the industry. And so for us to be able to provide training on many different levels and through technology, so it's comfortable, it's easy, it's not intimidating, and you can have access to 24/7 anywhere. Or at conferences like this, we feel like we're doing our part to help those who are employing people who are out there in the industry to develop, and not just at the property level, but at the management company level, at the vendor level. Everyone needs to understand something. Vendors may need to have employees coming in from a different industry because they can't find someone already in hospitality and they don't know anything about hospitality. So we can provide that training so they understand when someone says the ADR or RevPAR or covers or whatever it is, they know what they're talking about. So all of these things, I think, for me, is one area that is often overlooked a bit, often cut first, training, because, it's like, well, why do we need it? Well, we do. It's very essential. And so one of my passions is elevating that so that everybody understands this is just as important as when you're thinking about doing a capital improvement project, but it's continuous. We have to invest in our employees.
Absolutely.
Let me jump in there for a minute. The corporate digital responsibility, is going to take a lot of training. And so in collaboration, Arlene and our committee are really working on how do we build some training so a company can actually use that training to remind themselves how to use this responsibility.
That's great. That's great. And Scott, you're also on the advisory committee for HFTP. What are you focusing on there?
Well, the advisory committee is a group of hoteliers of all different disciplines that actually help plan this convention we're at right now, HITEC. It's one of the most exciting things of the year. We spend 4 or 5 months putting this whole thing together. The education sessions are so important. Recently, I think it was 3 years ago, we decided to change a little bit from this committee saying, I think this is cool, let's do something with that. And we put out now months in advance to the general public, hey, what would you like to see taught at HITEC? And so hundreds and hundreds of applications came in. So we now have a committee or changed our world a little bit. We're now looking at it going, okay, so let's organize these, prioritize these, put them into a schedule. And that's what you're seeing here at HITEC 2025.
So Arlene, what's next?
What's next? Well, as Scott mentioned, one of the things that we're going to be working on now is doing some of the training for the corporate digital responsibility. And as he mentioned, they looked at 8 pillars of different things. Well, within those pillars, as I mentioned earlier, everyone has different levels of learning that they need to accomplish. So line staff has a view on CDR versus top level. So if you have someone in Scott's position, he's looking at completely different things than what we need to have the line staff know. So we're going to try to develop courses, we're in the process of developing courses that address that. And we want to be able to have hoteliers, and also we're going to be looking at beyond just hotel, but other segments of hospitality where they can say, we can't give you a stamp of approval. Like, we're not an audit type of organization where we can say, boom, you've got the stamp. But we could say, hey, all my employees like Scott have been trained. And so I have gone above and beyond to ensure that they have the knowledge. And it's not just the little video that you click through and says, don't click the phishing email, but more like, why is that important? He had some fabulous stories he told when we were doing the presentation yesterday, that some of them make so much common sense that you think, well, that's silly. Why couldn't someone see that? But I think a lot of times we want to know why we have to do something, you know? And so when someone explains to you the why, then you might say, oh, I get it. I totally understand now and no fall. So that's how our courses are designed. We try to do things so that we put examples that are relevant to the hospitality industry. We also just launched the Uniform System of Accounts for the Lodging Industry 12th edition. So we have a bunch of courses related to those that relate to the people in the finance area, but also technology and operations. Because we all, no matter what we do, financials are important, right? The bottom line is a big deal. So how do we use those to help us manage the business better? So those are some of the things that we're working on.
So before we wrap this up, I want to give each of you, starting with Arlene, is there a message you want to give to people that should be part of HFTP and be attending HITEC?
Absolutely. If you're in technology or even not technology, any area of hospitality, you need to come to this show because you will be amazed at all the different technologies that are available. And sometimes you're coming here with the idea, I'm looking for this, and then you see something else that you didn't even realize, and it spurs that sort of like inquisitiveness and creative thinking and critical thinking and saying, how this could actually help me in my operation. Plus the education, you get perspectives from different people and from all over the world. So it's not just US-centric people, but you have people from Australia, from South Africa, from UK, Europe. It's all over the place. Mexico, we have a lot of people here from South America. So you get to hear their perspectives, and sometimes their solutions are so different than ours and simpler sometimes, but it's really great to meet these people. I have met so many people that I have kept in touch with and that have helped me out later. So networking is also a fabulous thing. And being part of HFTP is great because it helps you meet people from all over the world from your desktop, literally, because you could talk to people through the webinars, through our courses here when you come, or just the network that we provide. Consultants, we have a consultant dictionary. We have so much to offer at a very, it is so cheap to join our organization and get so many benefits that if you're not a member, whether you're in finance, technology, or just general operations, owner, whatever, it's a great organization to be part of. Don't you think so?
Totally agree. I'll take a different track.
Okay.
HFTP is like family. It really is. And we come together every year. It's like Old Home Week, right? Not only education and being able to walk and talk to some of the smartest people in the industry. I think, every person in their normal life wants to better their life, right? I'd like to move up, or I'd like to find a better job. Man, building relationships on this floor at HITEC is how I moved up in my career, for sure. And I know so many people that have. And so where do you find those relationships? Just come to HITEC and start walking around talking to people, because everybody will talk to you, shake your hand and go, hey, how do I help you?
Yeah. And just to add something on here, I had a first-time attendee come up to me, and he got emotional because he was so blown away by how open people were. Yep. He went to a booth, the CEO invited him out to dinner. He had breakfast with another CEO. So you're right, this is a family, it's a community. We all have the same goal, and that's to better the hospitality industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we've had a great HITEC here in Indy. The Modern Hotelier team really appreciates the partnership with you guys, and we just can't wait for San Antonio 2026. Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We had some great conversations with the leaders of HFTP. And as always, we got to hand it over to our producer, John, for the last questions.
So we've had a pretty packed week at HITEC in Indy. I'm curious to know some of your guys' thoughts, what your experience was like here. So Steve, can you give me your experience of HITEC this week in Indy?
Yeah, it was great. It's always great to see so many new people and see old friends as well. There were a lot of great conversations, and we produced some great content. So we're excited to release that in this upcoming week.
Coming to HITEC for 25 years, and this is my first tornado watch where they're having us go in the basement of the convention center. So that was a first for me.
Well, you mentioned one highlight, maybe one unique thing that was unique this year. David, can you continue? Tell me what was maybe one thing that you saw on the trade show floor, or another highlight that you might have from this show?
Yeah, I think the buzz on the floor from people I spoke to is that this is finally the first year that robotics really were a major factor, whereas in the past it was maybe one or two. And we got to see a great session with Nick Horgan and about LinkedIn, and really just felt like people were upbeat, even what's going on, kind of in the country and with travel and travel bans and tourism being down. I think there was a very upbeat vibe.
I agree. It seemed like, I know we've said we've come back since COVID, but this was the HITEC. I felt like everybody's here. There were no travel delays. Everybody was just here and having a great time, and Indy did a great job.
Speaking of Indy, I want to get your take on Indy. David, you said in your 25 years it's not been in Indy before. No. So Steve, just what's your thought on HITEC being in Indy and just your experience here this week? Being a Wisconsin boy, coming back to the Midwest I love it. It feel like home? It does feel like home. I've been walking around and saying, wow, this really almost kind of has a Milwaukee vibe, Wisconsin. So it was great to be here, and awesome things happen. We have the Pacers in the NBA Finals, and the Fever game was in town. So the city was alive, and there was a lot buzzing.
Yeah, and I would just say what's great about HITEC is with it moving around, being from the States and here, we were in Charlotte, we got to go to Toronto, we've been in multiple locations that maybe you don't have a reason to go to, but you now can check that off that I've been to that city. Speaking of which, next year HITEC is where?
San Antonio.
Looking forward to San Antonio next year with you guys.
That does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. We want to thank HFTP for their partnership with the Modern Hotelier team. We had a great location on the floor right next to E20X, and we can't wait to be in San Antonio next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
You made it to the end of the Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.